Your Steve Jones Show podcast is loading now. The Steve Jones Show podcast is sponsored by Sunbury Motors, North 4th Street in Sunbury, and Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. Sports talk where your voice counts. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Good afternoon, everybody. It is the Steve Jones Show on a Wednesday. Matt Catrillo here with you. Steve will soon be there from the Sunbury Motors Studio. Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. Ford Kia Hyundai, great selection of new and pre-owned inventory. And with whatever the budget says, the wonderful sales staff at Sunbury Motors will make sure that you make the sale that's right for you, and they're not just there for themselves in the sale. And a service department that is there for you, for your current vehicle, with the diagnostics, the inspections, all the routine maintenance, and many awesome technicians ready to serve you. But now SMC is looking for more, looking for entry-level and experienced technicians to work in their quick lane, car light truck service, heavy truck service, body frame and alignment, and towing departments. So whether you're an experienced technician, an entry-level technician looking for your first job, or someone looking for a career change, they would love to hear from you. Stop by in person, apply online at sunburymotors.com, or call Todd at 286-7746. All of this, mind you, part of the Sunbury Motors guarantee. All at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Another busy show coming up today. We have the voice of Indiana football, Don Fisher, joining us today with some enemy lines perspective of the Hoosiers as the Indy Lions travel to Bloomington and Memorial Stadium Saturday, 3:30 the kick, 2 o'clock the airtime here on WKOK. And Lions 24/7's Tyler Donahue is back with us today. I haven't checked with him in a while, so it'll be good to check back in with him and kind of moving on from the Ohio State loss and getting ready for this Indiana matchup. And, of course, continue the talk surrounding the quarterback situation and what may or may not be currently and heading into this weekend and for the rest of the regular season. Interested to see what he has to say about that. But it has been today a flurry of news across the sports world, starting with a possible sale of the Washington Commanders. Yes, we never thought we'd be saying those words because of the continued arrogance and stubbornness of one Dan Snyder, but it was first reported by Forbes today in an exclusive story that they had that Dan and Tanya Snyder were considering a possible sale of the Commanders, but it's a pretty big difference of the spectrum here. They're either looking at a full sale of the team or it's going to be a minority stake. Because, as you know, most NFL franchises aren't 100% owned, but the Commanders are by the Snyders. And then a statement came out today from the Commanders that said Dan and Tanya Snyder and the Washington Commanders announced they have hired B of A Securities, which is a bank, to consider potential transactions. The Snyders remain committed to the team, all of its employees, and its countless fans to putting the best product on the field and continuing the work to set the gold standard for the workplace in the NFL. There's a couple of ways to look at this. One is, did the NFL finally get to Dan Snyder and the pressure to sell the team finally get to Dan Snyder. And what I think is by some miracle that actually happening. Considering the latest reports that came out, I think it was last month, about how he had dirt on 6 owners, including Jerry Jones and a couple others. Now, we haven't seen anything about that more specifically come out since then. But that's been there, and it was kind of talked about at the latest NFL owner meetings that they felt like they could get the 24 votes to make him sell the team. It's the pressure, the questions surrounding it have been there for a long time with this team. Going back to the workplace environment reports that came out, the investigation in that.
Oh, we're back to the TMZ show. Oh, my goodness. Oh, God.
Well, this is, I mean,
It's what? What is it? Did he sell the team?
No, but the fact that he's even thinking about it is what's news. But here's my thing.
How much of the team is he going to sell?
We don't know. It's either going to. It seems like from full reports it's full or.
So we're doing a whole show here on we don't know. I love when we do shows on we don't know.
But the point is, this guy has been as arrogant and stubborn as you can be, and now he's actually exploring the option of that. What I think will happen is he'll probably just do a minority stake to get money to build a new stadium in Virginia, because that, to me, is a Dan Snyder move. That's not a regular, logical type of move. That's what I think is going to happen, because that would be a Dan Snyder move. I will still be floored if he actually fully sells the team. I will. Just because of his stubbornness, arrogant track record that he is.
The Phillies were great last night as they went out and just, put the lumber to it. And this is what I love about Bryce Harper. Harper is a star who knows he's a star and plays like a star. And he's blue collar. You watch Harper hit a ground ball, and he is hustling his backside off to get the first play. I'm sorry, I'm talking sports. You guys want to fire me for talking sports? Go ahead. I'm just not into the TMZ thing, because if he sells the team, then we're going to do a whole show about it. But him saying, I don't know what he's going to do. I drive you nuts, don't I? I drive you nuts, don't I?
Sometimes.
I don't feel like wasting my time. Okay, I'm not big on wasting my time. The guy has done nothing, so why should I waste my time talking about what he's thinking about doing? I don't know what he's thinking. Nobody knows what he thinks. Okay? You have people doing shows, and not one person doing a show knows what he's going to do. Really? So we're going to do we're going to spend a lot of time talking about, like, stuff we don't know about? Yeah, that's what I want. I enjoy those shows. They're a lot of fun. But last night, he turns on that pitch. Wow. What a moment. Crowd going insane last night. And how about Ranger Suarez last night? Suarez was just, this guy is rock solid, dependable. Last year, I talked about him last year. I talked about Suarez last year. About all the elements about him I liked. I said, look, he's not the number one guy. He's not a star, but you can throw him in out of the bullpen. You can throw him into a situation where he's starting for you, and he seems to give you good, dependable, solid innings all the time. And now you watch him last night, because he closed out the San Diego thing, which was great. He's got a heart rate of 45. Nothing phases him. Great repeatable motion over and over again. Bone got a big hit last night, which was great for him. Great for the Phillies. Hoskins, ever since he hit that home run where he threw the bat, he didn't throw the bat, he spiked the bat. Ever since he did that, man, he's been hitting home runs left and right. Tremendous. So now Houston is in a spot that I don't think they expected to be in. There were people early going on saying, you know what, Houston could sweep this series. They won 106 games. They're the better team. Philly's only 187. Should they really be there? Blah, blah, blah. And now here it is. After Philadelphia had that comeback in Game 1, where they got the Verlander, no less, they're now 2-1, undefeated at home, and playing. I mean, I'm talking not just great baseball. They're an exciting team to watch. They are fun. And that crowd at Citizens Bank Park makes it even more fun. Don't you love the crowd there?
Oh, it was absolutely amazing.
I mean, like Harper comes to the plate and like the fans, it's their star and they cheered for him. That had to be a real foreign concept for you.
No, senor! No, senor! No, senor!
Apparently, the seismic waves at Penn State Brandywine went up for that homer and
everywhere.
I think it was Schwarber's homer too. But yeah, it was crazy.
Everywhere. Look, they're exciting. They're fun. The fan base is electric. It is great theater. And Fox is maximizing that theater because this Philly fan base is making the theater exponentially more fun. I mean, it's just great. I can't wait to watch tonight's game. You got Christian Javier tonight, who, by the way, has been pretty good. I mean, Javier's been pretty good. I mean, they've won his last 7 starts. I'm sure Matt researched that.
Yeah, because some of them came against the Yankees. I didn't have to research it.
Just so you know, Matt, like the internet is not just for complaining and making comments. You can actually use it as a research tool. All right, so.
Oh, my almighty!
So I tell people, like fans all the time, like they're complaining. I said, you can use it for other things. You'd be shocked. Dick and Milton.
Steve, how are you?
Buenos Dias. Doing great, my friend. How are you? It's so great to hear from you.
Yeah, good. So I'm going to ask 2 quick questions. Not even going to wait. I'll just listen on the radio for your answers.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Penn State is where they're at. For me, the rest of the season, I would almost start the freshman quarterback. Listen, they don't owe anybody else anything, and he'll be the quarterback next year. Give him some experience playing in real games, starting games, and see how he does. That's my thing on him. And then the other thing in the game last night, I have never listened to a game where somebody like John Smoltz had to analyze every pitch, every arm throw, where was that on the batter, in the box. It drove me nuts after a while. I'm not sure what he thought he was accomplishing. Most people aren't there for a pitching tutorial, and that's what he was doing. Every pitch. If he'd changed the arm throw here, if he'd done this, they can. And for me, it just got old.
Yeah. Well,
so that's my 2 questions: quarterback at Penn State, and what you thought about the announcing. To me, it was just horrible to listen to. And I'm going to hang up and let you answer. Thanks a lot, Steve.
Okay. Thanks. Well, I mean, John does have a job. I mean, now how much he's being told by the producers as to what to do and how much is him naturally jumping in, that's something at least I would ask to figure out. Obviously with baseball, there's a lot of chatter all the time. I feel like there's a balance between the national guys talk more than the local guys. I think that's fair. And there's got to be a balance between too much talk, like the national guys have, and too little talk, which unfortunately the local guys have. Because a lot of local broadcasts are boring because they don't talk a lot. Or they talk about, I know it's 162 games, but they talk about stuff that, like, okay, really? Like nonsense. And I'm talking about nonsense meaning like, hey, what'd you think about the bar and grill we went to last night? Hey, that's really good. It's like, I don't want to hear it. I don't care where we went to dinner. So I think there's got to be a balance between the two. That's why I love radio so much. You can just kind of just do your deal and, and you have to talk. And the other one was about Drew?
Yeah, he wants to see Drew get more playing time now.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that. And, there are certain elements that do come into play here, and one of them happens to be, in my opinion, what do you owe the 2022 team? And what do you owe P.J. Mustipher? What do you owe Jair Brown? What do you owe? And part of that is getting them the best record possible for their particular senior season. Now, maybe Drew Allar is that answer to give them more. But I think when I sit down and I look at it, and as James said, he talks to Mike Yursich. Mike, what do you think? He talks to Danny O'Brien, who's played the position professionally. What do you think? And then he talks to Ken Wisenhunt. And believe me, I love Dick talking to Ken Wisenhunt, who's coached in Super Bowls and so forth. Hey, what do you think? And when you have those kind of resources to turn to, it helps you in making that decision even more so as to who gives you the best chance to win this week. Allar is a great prospect. It's fun for me on an everyday basis to watch him throw the ball. Now, does he make mistakes? Yes. You would expect him to make mistakes. He's a kid. In terms of playing him now, I'm going to give you 3 quarterbacks, and let's see how Matt does with this. Hendon Hooker, quarterback at Tennessee. Bryce Young, Alabama. C.J. Stroud at Ohio State. Now, those are, let's face it, 3 of the better quarterbacks in college football. Fair?
Absolutely.
How many passes combined did the 3 of them throw in their freshman year?
Probably going to say Stroud is probably going to be the leader in that category. But I would say overall not much.
The 3 of them combined to throw 22. Stroud threw 0. Hooker threw 0. That was at Virginia Tech. And Young threw 22. Now remember, Stroud and Young, well, they won national titles. Yeah, but Alabama and Ohio State blew some people out. There were opportunities to play them. They didn't play much. And I think James has played Drew more than those 3 have played combined in their freshman years. That doesn't mean Drew can't step in and play now. Yeah, I think he could step in and play now. I think he played pretty well. But it's also on a week-by-week basis. And to me, there's a lot of football in this season. You go with, to me, that's only me, I go with the person that gives me the best shot of winning on Saturday. Because I owe it to this team to give them the best shot to win Saturday. Right? Anytime you're playing for another season, a different season, I think you're shortchanging your current season. But that's only me. I mean, fans are going to have a different viewpoint of it, and I understand that. And I am not in any way, shape, or form putting down what people, what their opinions happen to be. If you think he should be starting, you are more than entitled to have that opinion. More than entitled. Right? I come at it from a little different approach. Doesn't mean I'm right. Doesn't mean you're right. But it's a little different approach. Oh, Doug in Wellsboro's now in the air. Doug, leading the charge on the Drew Allar play him now bandwagon.
That's a big negative, Steve. That's a big negative on that.
Big negative? Oh, Doug, I thought I knew you so well.
No, also,
Doug.
I'm not on Twitter. You guys were discussing earlier. I don't even know how to spell Twitter, so forget that whole deal.
I'm the last one to ask about that.
Yeah. 2 quick things. As far as Drew Allar, first, like you just kind of stole my thunder, they owe it to this team, the seniors on this team, to play the best guy, which is probably Sean Clifford at this point. Nobody wants to admit it. But he's a senior. He is what he is, but he's probably still their best chance to win these last 4 games. Number 2, you put Drew in, what happens if he doesn't make these nice, easy throws? They put him behind a weak offensive line. He's getting pressure. What happens if he doesn't look so hot? Then what? What's plan C? So the whole thing of just bailing on Sean, even though he is what it is, just doesn't sit right with me.
Well, Sean is, look, I was asked on Sirius XM, it may have been last week, I don't know. I think it was last week. I'm on there enough. So, And they asked me about the love-hate relationship with the fan base. And I said, well, it's probably two-pronged. I said, one is it's his 6th year and his 4th as a starter. So I said, so with some of the fan base, there's Sean Clifford fatigue. We know what he does. We see what he does. Okay. And then you've got the shiny new object over here. And everybody gravitates toward the shiny new object all the time. And believe me, the shiny new object in Drew Allar has tremendous potential. I'm not going to downgrade what his potential is. I have the fun of watching it every day. But if you're asking me who I go with to start this game to win it, I'd go with the veteran guy, but that's only me.
Hey, when you talk to James, tell him have him check the weather for Saturday. It's supposed to be blowing and windy and rainy.
It's supposed to be windy and it's warm. It's going to be warm, and there may be a little bit of rain. But you're right about the wind. They're talking about 17 to 24 miles an hour.
Okay. Thanks,
and there's nothing out there to stop it. We got Don Fisher on the show today, Tyler Donahue as well.
When car repairs get difficult.
Well, I just don't know.
Me neither.
We get good. Sunbury Motors. More than quality new and used cars, Sunbury Motors specializes in complicated auto repair diagnosis. They can handle intricate repairs and even complete auto body with service open Monday through Friday, 7 till 4. And Sunbury Motors has made simple repairs easy. Maintaining your vehicle is necessary. Finding the time to do it is difficult. Welcome to Sunbury Motors Quick Lane. Open 7 till 4, Monday through Friday. Just walk in or call ahead. Relax in their remodeled waiting room with Wi-Fi, beverages, and snacks. While Sunbury Motors factory trained techs take care of your oil change, tire alignments, brakes, and inspections. Quick Lane, 6:30 to 6, Monday through Friday, Saturday, 6:30 till 2. Sunbury Motors, Ford and Hyundai, North 4th Street, Sunbury. And Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf. We take the out of auto repair.
Taking your calls at 800-795-9565. This is The Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. Now, from the Sunbury Motors Studio, here's Steve Jones.
Throwing out first pitches last night, huh? Mike Schmidt, Dr. J, Brandon Graham, Bernie Perrant, Ryan Howard, Cole Hamels, Jason Wirth, Shane Victorino.
Not bad.
How about that?
Chase Utley was also in attendance last night, too.
That'll make the suit happy. That's what it's all about. Making Guess Who happy. Today's show brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15, Hummel's Wharf, online at sunburymotors.com. Neither call was about the Commanders. You had to be disappointed.
That's fine. I get it. That's a hot topic, too, when it comes to the Penn State quarterback.
Commanders are not a hot topic. He hasn't done anything. What has he done? Did he sell it?
Not yet.
How much of it did he sell? Is he just selling a share to somebody just to build a stadium for the money?
We don't know that, but the fact that he's even thinking about it is what is a story.
Excusez-moi. Guess what? It's not a story. It means nothing until he does it and how he does it. Then we'll talk about it. Done this for a long time. I don't like playing the, let's what if. Look, I talk with, let's deal with what we know about. That's just me. I know that's, I know you want me to be Harvey Levin. I got it. It's concerning, but I know you want me to be Harvey Levin. I can tell. I like when the stories are juicy. Joining us from Lions 24/7 is Tyler Donahue. How you been?
I've been great. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for asking. Okay, so let's get a couple of things right now. I know you do a lot following the recruiting part of it. These have been back-to-back big recruiting weekends. What have you been able to delineate from those two big recruiting weekends, Tyler?
Yeah, I think, well, first off, not having Ohio State in prime time impacted what you normally would see for an Ohio State matchup in Beaver Stadium, but you were able to overcome that a bit the preceding week with that nighttime game in the whiteout. They packed the place, put on a really strong performance against Minnesota, sent a lot of 2024s, 2025s with plenty to think about, even some 2023s. The work continues in that department as well. Got commitments back to campus, always important there to try to generate the camaraderie among potential targets and get guys feeling like it's home for them. And then this past Saturday, I thought overall pretty solid group of players. They were able to get a group from Southern California in town. They had some of their Florida commits on a couple weeks ago. So they've had some long-distance destination-type travelers checking out campus, checking out these games. And I thought overall, although they didn't come away with the win against Ohio State, they went toe-to-toe with one of the best teams in college football. And the recruits who are on campus, particularly those who will have interest from the Ohio States of the world as well, I'd have to imagine they left at least really respecting the way Penn State played over the course of 4 quarters for the matchup.
All right, so what have you thought of the football team to this point? They are 6-2. What are your thoughts as they get ready for Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, I had them at 6-2 at this point in the season. I think the season has gone a little bit differently at spots than I thought it would, but I had them 5-0. My thought was Michigan, Ohio State was going to determine that. Didn't see the pounding coming that they took at Michigan coming off of the bye week. I don't think really any of us saw that kind of a performance shaping up in Ann Arbor. At the same time, I was very curious what it might look like on Saturday. And for the first 51 minutes of this game, it was some of the best football that I think we have seen, especially complimentary football, that we've seen Penn State play in recent memory. It was a testament to their preparation, certainly a testament to their ability to put that Michigan matchup well in the rearview mirror. Unfortunately for them, those 4 turnovers are difficult to overcome against just about anybody on your schedule. When you give a team like Ohio State and quarterback like C.J. Stroud those kind of opportunities, those kinds of short fields, and you're already playing with a narrow margin because of the talent level that you're encountering in that kind of a matchup, it's really impossible to escape with a win. And James Franklin has referenced that a couple times since Saturday. And I think we're going to learn a lot in November. That's really, to me, where it's always hinged. I thought they would lose those 2 matchups against Michigan and Ohio State, and it would come down to what kind of a team would we see in November. Would they get to the finish line with authority, prove that they are still a class team in the Big Ten, or would we see some of those issues pop up? We've seen this team lose to Maryland. We've seen them lose to Illinois. We've seen them lose a couple times to Iowa in recent years. When you start to get losses like that on your resume, people can forget a little bit maybe what tier you were at in the Big Ten and start to picture you in a different light. So to me, it's important for Penn State to go out and really prove there is a gap between them and everyone else remaining on their schedule in November. The betting spreads are going to reflect the gap. Will the actual execution on the field do that? And, of course, we've got this quarterback conversation to get into just about every week, and it's really hit a different level now that the team has picked up a second loss. So I've always said that this kind of the season and the way it was going to impact the trajectory of James Franklin's tenure here was always going to be determined in November. And by the way, they finished this out. Can they get to those 10 wins, a marquee bowl matchup, or do they stumble, and which quarterback do they do that with?
All right, so what has been your thought on the quarterback conversation, but maybe also, I assume you guys have a message board, right?
Yeah, of course.
No, I'm only asking. I mean, no offense, I don't read them, but so I don't read anybody's. So what's that First of all, what's that conversation been like, and then we'll dovetail it into what you think.
Yeah, I'd imagine it's not too different than some of the conversations that you encounter when people approach you before, after games, or during the course of your week, because they know you cover Penn State football. People are, at very large percentage of people, I think, are at least a bit fatigued with Sean Clifford, and I think that's been sustained for a while. And now it's bordering on frustration with Sean Clifford. And it's not so much just what happened in the last game, where he played some of the strongest stretches of his career against Ohio State, those back-to-back touchdown drives, giving them the lead in the first half. He went 7 of 8, threw a couple touchdowns, and did it methodically and threw 3 balls over 25-plus yards. But we also saw him make some of the mistakes against a very talented defense and against a virtuoso performance by the defensive end of the Buckeyes. But you saw the kind of things pop up where you say, well, couldn't a true freshman make those kind of mistakes? And isn't that supposed to be this major separating factor in the conversation? We've heard it from Mike Yurcich. We've heard it from James Franklin. Sean Clifford has the superpower of what he can do pre-snap. His preparation is unparalleled in the program, and he's started 42 games now at this point in his career. So you have all that on his side, and you say, well, we know all these things about Sean Clifford we can hang our hat on. The problem is I think we also know what you can come to anticipate with Sean Clifford being the starting quarterback. That's going to be, unfortunately, that's going to be sustained stretches of ineffective play. That's going to be mistakes that pop up and cost you opportunities and provide your opponents with a short field. And we don't know what the other door looks like when you open that door number 2, but since 2019, when Tommy Stevens left campus and Sean Clifford was the heir apparent to Trace McSorley all of a sudden, there's only been one occasion where we've seen James Franklin genuinely remove Sean Clifford from the quarterback role because of performance and put somebody else in there to get a look. And Will Levis got one half of football in that role against Iowa back in 2020. It has been all Clifford since then. And I think there's something that's very much appreciated about the way James Franklin stands by his quarterback. And Sean Clifford really hasn't done a lot to lose the job, but you've brought in the top quarterback in the country by our measurements, 24/7 Sports. It's the kind of talent that has not resided in your quarterback room anywhere if you're James Franklin as a head coach. And it feels like this may be the opportunity to set yourself up for not only a strong finish that establishes momentum for your program, gives you opportunities to win, but also to springboard yourself toward 2023. And we all know how important perception is in college football. If you want the recruits, if you want the donors, if you want the NIL standing, people want wins.
When you have seen Drew in limited windows in practice on Wednesdays and then seen him in games, what have you thought?
I think it's very impressive what he can do in the pocket while keeping his eyes down the field. A lot of what you see with young quarterbacks when they make that jump from the high school level, even if they're playing at an elite level there, they get into the college game, everything's moving quicker. They're under much more demands for what they need to do for the other 10 guys on the offensive side of the thing. And that can lead to overthinking, and it can also lead to you just folding up and trying to avoid mistakes to the point where you get so conservative that you're dropping your eyes and you're concentrated on, I got to protect the football. Drew, to me, when we've seen him face a little bit of duress in the pocket, haven't gotten a chance to see a ton of this, but I think he's done a nice job of moving himself away from that, keeping his eyes down the field, kind of relocating the pocket a bit if he needs to laterally. And that's just something that is not really innate with a lot of freshman quarterbacks. And I can just tell you, I'd love to see Drew go up against 11 guys on the practice field, something that we haven't seen. That's the way it works. But what we have seen in games, I think you come away and you say, it looks good, but you want to see it in the circumstance where it's not the end of a blowout on one way or the other. He got thrown into a really tough situation against Michigan, and then when you're working with a 25, 30-point lead, the way you're calling a game, what you're going to see from the defense, and the pressure that's on your shoulders is going to be very, very different. But I think to this point, everything I've heard from inside the building, the things that we don't see, I love about Drew Allar. He's getting more vocal. Yeah. He's clearly developed physically, and I think what we're hearing is he has a professional approach to orchestrating an offense. I think aside from Sean Clifford, Will Levis, to an extent, 2020, I don't know if they've fully felt like a guy could truly lead them through a season if they need to. Maybe I'm shortchanging Christian Veillere. I think they feel very highly of him. But what you hear about Drew Allar is that 18, 19 years old, he is somebody who can lead an offense and potentially go out and chase a Big Ten title. And to hear that now behind the scenes is great, but what does it look like when it's exposed to a Big Ten defense and exposed to a group of fans that are expecting greatness?
So this is a devil's advocate question, if you don't mind. Okay, so I'll throw a devil's advocate question out there, and then I'll get your reaction. If I were to tell everybody that the three top quarterbacks in this particular year, which are Hendon Hooker, right, Tennessee, C.J. Stroud, Ohio State, and Bryce Young of Alabama, that the three of them combined in their freshman years to throw a total of 22 pass attempts, what would you – I know every situation's different, so I get that. But, again, this is a devil's advocate question. What would you say to that?
I'm sorry, it was Hendon Hooker, and who were the other two?
Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, well, I would say that, I mean, in the case of Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud, they showed up to campuses where there were, Heisman Trophy contenders in place at quarterback. It's a different kind of lineage in that ballpark. But I think, didn't their teams as big-time teams blow teams out? Certainly. Oh, you're talking about just get them on the field. Okay. I got you. Yeah. I think James Franklin has actually done a good job. I think he has done a better job than in the past. I think that also speaks about what they're seeing from Drew Allar and them understanding it is necessary to do this. He's played 6 times in 8 games. I don't think you could ask for much more. I'm not someone who's in favor of just throwing him in for a second quarter series just to mess with things and get a look at him. Tyler,
it's a devil's advocate question. That's all it is. In other words, let's ask a question that has some facts to it, then let's get your reaction as to what you think. So.
Yeah. I guess that's where I think James Franklin's done a good job through 8 weeks of working him in. I don't think the question is about working him in now. It's about who is your starting quarterback. Yeah. And that's why it shifted. Fair answer. No, fair answer. That's why, again, it was just one of those, okay, let's have a little fun here and throw one out. Every once in a while you do that just to see what sticks on the wall and what slides down. Tyler, it's always great having you on the show. You do a great job and appreciate the time you gave us today. Steve, thank you so much. Look forward to doing it again. Take care.
Thanks, Tyler. Tyler Donahue, 24/7 Sports. I mean, it brings with it an interesting question. There's no getting around it. Okay? And the part of the question is, do you play him now with the idea that you're prepping for the next season, or do you keep playing this season with the idea that maybe he helps you this season? I mean, that really is the question, right?
Absolutely.
No. But, the reason as a devil's advocate question, I brought up the question I did was quite simple. You're seeing some of the top quarterbacks that also were allowed to ease into their career a little bit and made a difference. I mean, because remember, Alabama, when winning a national title, they blew teams out. There was ample opportunity to play them, right? But they played them a little bit, but that was it. Same thing with Ohio State. Stroud's freshman year, he got to the national championship game. And they won by margins. They didn't play him. And Hooker was at Virginia Tech at the time. And Justin Fuente, and I'm not going to pretend I know what the Virginia Tech situation was in 2018 when he was a freshman. I'd have to look that up. That's why you have the internet. You can look the stuff up. But he didn't attempt to pass either. And right now, those are 3 of the top quarterbacks. All right. Take a break. I'm back with more in a moment. Matt wants to rip Dan Snyder a new one so badly. And I feel like I've done nothing but deny him that opportunity so far.
No, I got that opportunity already. It's all good.
I'll let you really do it once we know what he's actually going to do. Okay? Because we don't know actually what he's going to do. We'll take a break. We will come back with more in a moment on News Radio 1070 WKOK.